What made the popular guy/girl lose their popularity? Him and another kid from our school got busted for picking up 2 middle school girls from the local mall and taking them to a motel. He used to be the class clown and on the announcements and everything, but the dude was an untouchable from then on. I don't even remember if he graduated. She started a fight with another popular girl over something petty. The other popular girl, unbeknown to us all, practiced a martial art and delivered with one hand the most beautiful, graceful punch that I have ever had the pleasure of seeing whilst pulling out a chunk of hair with the other. The other girl was suspended and skyrocketed higher than ever, while the popular girl who started the fight became little more than a laughingstock with a temporary bald spot. Wouldn't say he was popular as this was college, but everyone knew him and he well liked. All around really friendly, the life of the party, and just a very open person. He stole money from a lot of people and it was all at once. So it was a film school. We were on a project filing at a house. The bottom floor, which was just a room, and the garage, is where people stored all their stuff, like book bags and equipment that was not currently being used. This guy went through everyone's stuff and stole any cash he could find. He lost only $5 though. When I got home that night and couldn't do laundry, I was a bit peeved, but some kids lost hundreds. There were people always coming and going in that space and it was only the crew, so no one thought the stuff was unsafe down there. I was down there at some point just taking a snack break with another person and saw him going through bags. He made up some BS that he was looking for his friend's bag and her car keys. At the time I believed him and didn't think anything more of it till it came out that people were missing money. He was of course found out. I was not the only one who saw him rifling through stuff, and it turned out he was a serious drug addict. I'm talking heroin drug addict. They found his stash when going through his dorm room. He was dismissed from the school and that's the last I heard of him. Wonder what happened to him. Also never got my $5 back. Student president called our residential nice girl a bitch. You know, the sweetheart who is kind to everyone, the girl that every guy has a crush on. Small school, so gossip ran through the halls like nothing else, but I've never seen the tables turn so viciously and decidedly. A popular boy cried in class during a discussion about a recent tragedy because someone that was close to him died in said tragedy. He got relentlessly bullied for the short time afterward that he was at that school. He was a good kid that didn't deserve any of that. I really hate middle school kids sometimes. I was the popular one until year 11 when my best friend started struggling with depression and became suicidal. Everyone started bullying her after she tried to kill herself. I stuck by her and got her to deactivate her social medias and stayed with her through lunch/recess to make sure she didn't get cornered by a certain few girls. For some reason this pissed literally my whole year group off and they started to attack my social media instead. I kinda just avoided most people in school from then onwards. For anyone curious about my friend, she's doing great now and really pulled herself out of it. Popular girl was driving drunk on the way to school and caused a pretty bad accident involving 3 other cars. She spilled liquor on herself and slammed on her brakes in a line of cars. Her car managed not to have a scratch. She swapped seats with her passenger in front of everyone, before cops arrive. A few minutes later we realized she has disappeared. She had slipped into another car that had stopped to see if everyone was okay. Several people ended up getting tickets and her passenger ended up getting a DUI. She was unpopular until graduation. He was popular for doing dumb pranks and shit. He had a devil-may-care attitude to everything, and was really attractive. That wasn't the reason he was popular, but it helped. Then he sprayed his displeasure over his recent breakup with his well-liked girlfriend, who was a kind soul, on her car with spray paint. Suddenly he lost his crew, because they felt it was too far. He also rendered himself undateable because he had proved he was unstable and jealous. He literally went from a god to that creep. Way back when I was in school, a girl who was quite popular decided she could make fun of another kid's Down syndrome sibling in front of her friends. Well, the popular kids in my school weren't jerks, so they didn't laugh and literally turned their backs on her. She was a loner for the rest of the year and went goth the next, then moved. It wasn't funny at the time, nor is funny now. Went to prison for raping his 12-year-old mentally challenged sister. He was popular among the group of people he was associated with. I don't think he was super popular or anything. Punk/grunge kid. All his popularity went out the window when he went out the window of his car, after he crashed it into a building because he was huffing paint and speeding down the road with one of the group's popular girls. Thankfully she survived, but from what I recall he wasn't remembered so fondly after that. Kid made a video for a school project, which he played in front of the class. Project video ended and cut to him beating his meat. He was a freshman. He spent the remainder of HS known only as the cameraman. They were brother and sister. Let's call them Eric and Megan. Eric was in his senior year and a couple months from graduating. He was a jock, an idiot, and an absolute tool. Megan was a sophomore. She was actually nice. They were both very popular and reasonably attractive. Their friends would make comments about how hot their sibling was, etc. The two of them, for some fucked up reason, made a porno together and showed it to their friends. Somehow they were surprised when this led to being socially exiled. Megan ended up being sent to live with her grandparents about 1,000 miles away. This kind of stuff was not uncommon in the area I grew up in. Meth and incest are quite rampant in rural Vermont, but no one wants to acknowledge that. Also, this was only a few years ago. Saying the girl having a seizure looked like an electric jellyfish. That was an awkward lunch period. A girl in my hometown was always picking on this guy in her class, making fun of his last name, picking on his mom and his little brother. Nothing physically. I think people just thought it was a bit of ribbing, nothing so bad anyone felt the need to intervene. Then one day, his family was in a car accident, and he was the only one to survive. When he came back to school, she said something like, couldn't even get dying right, insert name she used to pick on him. It was so bad after that she switched schools, but her reputation followed her. She tried rushing a sorority in college, but wouldn't you know, the story followed her there too. This senior got suspended cause he fucked a freshman in the parking lot. We had 2 or 3 over the 4 years get pregnant. They no longer went to all the parties with a kid to look after. I went to the same school as the kids of the Prime Minister of my country at the time. I didn't know the daughter too well, but apparently she went from being popular to being bullied out of the school when her dad lost the election. It was pretty sad that people started hating on her for something she had no control over. Here's my story. In 5th grade we moved and I changed schools. I went from a school in the city where everyone got along and was friends to a school in the suburbs where I was introduced to popular and unpopular for the first time. As a fat quiet kid I was quickly deemed unpopular and took my fair share of abuse. Around March or April, my teacher moved our desks around, and set up islands of 4 to 5 desks around the room, except for 2. The most popular boy in school who was a troublemaker in class, and me, who moved our desks right up next to the side of hers. I later found out she did this for 2 reasons. 1, to keep an eye on him, and 2, she felt LD be a good influence on him. A funny thing happened. Between then and the end of school, we became best friends, and I became the second most popular kid in school. I started getting invited to birthday parties, kids stopped being crappy to me, I got invited to play football at lunch, girls liked me. It was amazing. Then, summer happened, we were in different classes the next year, he forgot about me, then he moved, and everyone went back to treating me like shit. That's my little story about losing popularity. She got pregnant and had to quit cheerleading. The football players didn't want her anymore and her popularity took a hit, plus the other girls were very judgmental. Word got out that this kid stole from his grandparents for drug money. This one popular girl in HS got so drunk at a party that she just started shitting herself everywhere. Some friends drove her home and she did it again in the back seat. Not easily forgotten. But it was one of those things no one would say anything about, it's just that the entire school knew by Monday afternoon. Her mom came to a school meeting and told everyone she suffers from mild autism. Making fun of somebody's dad when they were diagnosed with cancer, that's going to drop your approval rating somewhat. He got super high one night. Got in his car with his friends. They thought they were getting chased by the police, ended up losing control of their car and drove it through someone's house. He lost one of his fingers in the accident, but fortunately no one else was seriously harmed. They were all removed from the baseball, etc., teams that they were on. In a related story, a girl who was pretty popular graduated from our high school. Shortly after, she killed someone while driving drunk. Spent a long time in prison. He whipped his dick out during class and put it on the shoulder of the girl who was sitting in the desk in front of him. He got kicked out immediately and I believe charges pressed for sexual assault. We were a couple of weeks from graduating too. There was a girl who was super popular all throughout middle school. Then this rumor started that she had tempted her dog into sexual acts with peanut butter. The rumor stuck too, like all throughout school people would say her name and then say peanut butter, insert name, like people would write on the whiteboards and everything. I saw her leave class in tears multiple times. It was horrible. The dog was a Cocker Spaniel too, which obviously did not help. The T, however, was our school junior and senior year offered this like special program where half the school got exclusive invites to spend the day making a difference. Literally, it was called Redo Day and it was apparently pretty intense. It was designed to have people come together and accept differences and stuff, which was kind of stupid considering the absolute abysmal lack of diversity in my school, but I digress. I was never invited, so this part is secondhand, but apparently during the open mic portion where people make admissions and like come clean, her twin brother took the mic and fully admitted it was he who started the rumor. That was why the rumor had stuck so hard and fucking ruined this girl's whole high school life. Shit was wild. They lost their place to a kind and warm-heated sweet girl with a very sunny and positive vibe. Suddenly everyone was around her and not around the popular kid/bully. Basically the students finally saw what they really needed. Freshman year of high school. Very popular guy who was the it kid freshman phenom WR on a nationally ranked team. We were all leaving class one day. He randomly decided it was a good idea to make fun of a very well-hoved handicapped guy who was dying of his condition, some advanced form of water on the brain if I'll remember correctly, and even decided to punch him. This knocked the poor kid to the ground. About 10 guys immediately jumped him. A shop teacher saw it, the WR getting his happen, and let it continue for a minute before stopping things. Mr. Popular got quite messed up in that short window. Kicked off team. Expelled. Moved schools in a move that I'm guessing was a way to start over at a new school? Never heard from him again. Went from pep rally king to degenerate outcast in 5 minutes. I had a front row seat and was one of 50 plus who testified to the school admins. The victim passed away later that school year from his condition. You almost never heard him speak, but when he did he was always kind and thoughtful. Guy wasn't exactly extremely popular to begin with, but was well known. He punched some girl at my school in the face for no reason at a concert. Shortly after this, there was news that he rolled his brand new Camaro going 95 in a 45. This caused him and another guy at our school a lot of injuries. His friend lost his entire ear in the accident. Oh, and this was right after they stole beer from Kroger. They were drunk driving. Anyways, people kept their distance after this. Another kid that comes to mind was someone very popular in our grade. One of my friends went over to his house and used his computer without his permission. My friend ended up finding terabytes of child porn on his PC. From what I heard, the FBL even got involved. He never was seen at school again after that. As soon as school ended, everyone stopped pretending to like her. Tall, good-looking, foreign exchange student showed up one year with a killer smile and some impressive soccer skills. Never thought I'd see school girls giggle and follow around boys in a crowd like they do in TV shows, but this guy made it happen. He abruptly stopped showing up one day after a few months. Don't know 100% what happened, but the rumor was that he got sent back for putting some pretty serious racist symbols in a poetry/art project, thinking it would be a funny joke.